I don't know if you're new to Superman or a longtime fan, but we're about to take a brief look at the history and abilities of Superman. Stay tuned to the end where we'll have some Superman facts that I'd bet some of Superman's biggest fans didn't even know. I'm Brian from BMA Comics, and this is our biography of Superman. Superman's superhero career all started back in June of 1938 with Action Comics #1, written by Jerry Siegel and drawn by Joe Shuster. Now, for one of the most famous origins in comics, Superman is a superhero and alien named Kal-El from the destroyed planet Krypton. He was sent to Earth and raised as Clark Kent by human foster parents Martha and Jonathan Kent. Kal-El's powers were dormant until his teenage years. His Kryptonian physiology absorbs immense energy from Earth's yellow sun, enabling him to fly at incredible speeds and giving him his superpowers and abilities. As an adult and growing up as Clark Kent, he devoted his life to helping others with the abilities he developed from Earth's sun. Moving to Metropolis, he became Superman, while still maintaining his secret identity as Clark Kent, working at the Daily Planet as a reporter.
I'm not a cop. I'm a reporter.
Superman has superhuman strength ever since Action Comics #1. The cover shows him effortlessly lifting a car over his head. Another classic feat of strength on Superman's part is breaking steel chains. In some stories, he is strong enough to shift the orbit of planets and crush coal into diamonds with his bare hands. Also, since Action Comics #1, Superman is invulnerable. Bullets bounce harmlessly off of his body, and in some stories such as Kingdom Come, not even a nuclear bomb can harm him. Superman in some stories projects an aura that renders invulnerable any tight-fitting clothing that he wears, and renders his costume as durable as he is, despite being made of common human-factured cloth. This concept was first introduced in Man of Steel #1 back in 1986. Superman can fly at great speeds, he can break the sound barrier, and in some stories he can even fly faster than light and travel to distant galaxies. In Action Comics #11, Superman first uses the power which allows him to see through objects and project X-rays via his eyes. But certain materials such as lead can block his X-ray vision. So, by applying the X-ray vision at its highest intensity, which happened in Superman 59, Superman activates his heat vision and projects beams of heat from his eyes which are hot enough to melt steel. Superman also has super hearing. He can hear sounds in frequencies outside of the human hearing range or too faint for a human to hear. Also, one of the powers granted to him by Action Comics #11, and in Action Comics #20, Superman gained superhuman breath, which enables him to inhale and blow large amounts of air and holding his breath indefinitely to remain underwater or space. Superman turns it into freezing breath in Superman #129 in 1959, which he focuses significantly his breathing intensely to the point of freezing targets by blowing on them. And his most recent superpower is going to be the solar flare. Superman got that in the New 52, Superman #38. Now, after talking about his strengths, we can also talk about his weaknesses. First confirmed on radio, The Adventures of Superman in 1943, and then in the comics in Superman issue 61, Superman's weakness is the green kryptonite. Exposures to its radiation nullifies Superman's powers and weakens him with pain and nausea that will eventually kill him with long exposure. Even though green kryptonite is the most commonly seen form, over the years writers have introduced other forms such as red, gold, blue, white, and black, each having its own effect. Gold kryptonite, for example, permanently nullifies Superman's powers, but otherwise does not harm him. Superman is also vulnerable to magic. This weakness was established in Superman #171 back in 1964 because they just realized Superman was just too powerful. First introduced in Action Comics #1, Lois Lane is the most famous supporting character of Superman, and ultimately his one true love. Fellow journalist at the Daily Planet, who considers Clark Kent to be a wimp, but she is infatuated with the bold and mighty Superman, not knowing that Kent and Superman are the same person. But Clark admits to Lois that he is Superman, and they marry in Action Comics 484. This is the first story in which Superman and Lois marry and wasn't an imaginary tale. Many Superman stories since have depicted Superman and Lois as a married couple, but many depict them in their classic love triangle. In the pre-New 52 continuity, Clark married Lois Lane, but when the New 52 was launched in 2011, the new Clark Kent was a bachelor again, and their story debuted with Lois dating another man and working as a rival journalist. In June 2015, it was revealed that Superman's secret identity was Clark Kent, exposed by Lois Lane only trying to save Superman's life. In the Rebirth reboot, after the completion of the Convergence storyline, Lois Lane is Superman's wife, mother of his son Jonathan Kent, and is fairly capable of defending herself. She's also Superwoman in various storylines. Another one on Team Superman is Krypto, who first appeared in Action Comics 210. Next we have Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, who first appeared in Action Comics number 6. Jimmy is friends with both Superman and Clark Kent, and a photographer at the Daily Planet. In most stories, he doesn't even know Clark is Superman. Another of Superman's allies is Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman and Superman got along better than most other people during their tenure in the Justice League, and eventually a romantic relationship in Justice League 12 in the New 52. DC launched not long after their relationship started a Superman Wonder Woman title that explored the pair's relationship and showing them discovering both their similarities and differences, going on dates and visiting their hometowns. Next is Superman's best friend, Batman. Batman, considered as the peak of human achievement, and despite being completely opposite with Superman, Batman is the only true threat to the Man of Steel. For Batman, the Man of Tomorrow was the only member of the Justice League that he trusted, regardless of all their differences, and each had suspicions on each other. They were very much alike and both the best of friends. Over the years, the Superboy mantle has graced several DC characters. Currently, John Kent, Superman's son, bears the name, and an integral part of the ongoing Superman run, which has generated critical acclaim and widespread fan appreciation. Teams Superman has been on would include the Legion of Superheroes. It's his first team, actually. Then there is the Trinity, which is the team of Earth's greatest heroes, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. You also have the Justice League of America, which first appeared in the Brave and Bold number 28, which became one of the strongest and longest lasting allies of Superman. When he became a part of it, it formed the team of Earth's greatest heroes. Though their roster is always changing and members join and leave and return, most of the founding members, together with Superman, are Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, The Flash, Martian Manhunter, and Green Lantern. So now, after looking at Superman's friends, let's look at his enemies. Superman's best known nemesis, Lex Luthor, was introduced in Action Comics number 23 and has been depicted as either a mad scientist or a wealthy businessman. Lex is Superman's most recognizable foe and the Man of Steel's primary adversary in every medium since the 1940s. Another is the monstrous Doomsday, introduced in Superman, the Man of Steel 17 and 18, was the first villain to evidently kill Superman in physical combat. Next we have Darkseid, a tyrant from the distant planet Apocalypse and one of the most fearsome villains in all of comics dating back to 1970, where he first appeared in Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen number 134. Darkseid has been a world-ending threat with the ultimate ambition of universal domination by brute force. Next, the Kryptonian fascist with no regard for life, General Zod, first appearing in Adventure Comics number 283 in April of 1961. Zod shares Superman's Kryptonian DNA, and the General has most of Superman's abilities but just lacks his compassion. Debuting in Action Comics 242, Brainiac is one of Superman's most formidable opponents. Because of his tremendous intellect and occupying scientific and technological knowledge, Brainiac possesses a threat to Superman. His greatest parlor trick is shrinking entire cities and harvesting them in his spacecraft. Okay, so after all this Superman talk, let's talk about 3 great Superman stories that you should read if you haven't read already. 1. Superman Red Sun. It's set in Earth 30, which depicts a communist Superman who rules over the Soviet Union. Superman Red Sun answers the question, what if instead of landing in Smallville, Kansas, he landed in Nazi Germany? Next is Kingdom Come. It's about an older reclusive Clark Kent that secluded himself on a farm following the death of Lois Lane at the hands of the Joker. This is set in Earth 31, and the members of the Justice League have all but retired, leaving for dangerous and irresponsible superheroes to fill in for them. And the third of the Superman recommendations will be the death of Superman. As previously mentioned before, sorry for that spoiler, but if the name doesn't already tell you Superman's gonna die in it, I don't know what to say, but it's still a good book you should read. It's about Doomsday's coming to Earth. So besides just reading about him in the comics, you should know that Superman has been brought to life on both the big and small screen many times. It has been played by many actors, including Christopher Reeve, Tom Welling, Dean Cain, Henry Cavill, and going back as far as George Reeves in the 1950s, just to name a few. There is also talks of Michael B. Jordan taking up the role of Superman next. Superman is one of the most recognizable fictional characters of all time, and more than just an American superhero, he's a worldwide icon. During the death of Superman, DC toyed with an idea of a culture that had taken the Man of Steel for granted, both in the universe and outside of it. This was a time when heroes were getting darker and more extreme in their methods, and the style of the era didn't seem to allow for a character like Superman to keep his relevance. Many learned how important Superman was as an icon, not just in DC, but by removing Superman from the equation, and his return was all the more impactful. Superman has had ballads written about him, several feature films spanning over generations, and his comic books are among the most celebrated of all time. Despite being the ultimate outsider and foreigner to not just of the country he happens to come upon as an orphan, but the entire globe, he is universally loved in his fictional world, and in ours. Superman in a way serves as an influence and metaphor for hope and optimism, required for a better tomorrow, and ultimately makes him the man of tomorrow. Now, as promised, for some Superman facts that maybe even Superman fans didn't know. Did you know that Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster actually created and published Superman more than 5 years before his appearance in Action Comics #1? Superman was originally a villain bent on world domination. He was even missing his famous Superman curl, actually all his hair. Number 2. At one point, Shazam Comics outsold Superman Comics. And the last little known Superman fact, do you know Clark Kent's middle name? It's Joseph. Superman's Earth full name is Clark Joseph Kent. Let me know if you learned anything from this video. If you need more Superman content, check out the next video. Plus, there'll be more Superman videos in the near future, plus a history of Batman video to come. So make sure to hit the subscribe button and have a great day. Thanks for watching the video, and until next time, Brian out.